Hello, welcome to the Media Careers Podcast. Hey, welcome to MCP, Media Careers Podcast, airing to you out of Coventry University. On this beautiful day, we are going to be interviewing the Junior PPC Executive of Lounge Underwear, Marsela Qazimi, hailing from Birmingham. Coincidentally enough, she also used to attend Coventry University, where I mentioned before we are based. Stay tuned to hear more about her experiences going from Coventry University student to a company as big and as reputable as Lounge Underwear. In this podcast, we discuss the ins and outs of advertising and PPC, as well as going from an unclear university student to becoming a successful career professional. Keep listening to find out what are some common mistakes people make when working in the advertising industry and exactly how to avoid them. In this podcast, you may gain a clear understanding of how to find a direction in your career path after leaving education. At the end of this podcast, Marsela drops a couple gems on transitioning from a student to a professional, so stay tuned to hear more about that. But first, here's a bit about Lounge Underwear.
Lounge Underwear were formed and founded in the West Midlands in 2015 through a wife and husband combo. They've quickly moved from a living room business to a warehouse in under a year, with hiring more and more employees from just the original couple. They've amassed 3.1 million followers on Instagram in these short 7 and a bit years that the company's been around. They mainly focus on women's underwear, having now branched out into women's swimwear and lounge, and the idea of both styling loungewear with swimwear, and that was debuted in 2019 at Miami Swim Week. So we're doing swim fashion shows and how that can change and grow. They're now aiming to be more sustainable, working with the idea of how they can make underwear sets through bamboo. Their main following has come through constantly working with Instagram models, famous people and YouTubers who often show off their sets during try-on hauls, and then also modelling not just for Lounge but other companies whilst wearing the same product, getting double exposure sort of thing. They're aiming to grow more and more and more, and each year they're saying it's going to be the bigger year yet. Their website doesn't leave much as the idea of what plans are going to come, but once again, there's more people out there who know more than what we do.
So stay tuned to hear our interview between myself, Ade, and Marsela Qazimi coming up now. Hello, my name is Ade. I'm your presenter today. Welcome to MCP, the Media Careers Podcast. And today I am happy to welcome Marsela Qazimi, the Junior PPC Executive at Lounge Underwear. She's going to give us her experience on what it's like working in the industry. So, hello. Good afternoon.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. So, tell me a bit about yourself. Who are you? Where do you come from?
Name's Marsela, from Birmingham.
Yeah.
Any more? Do you need any more about? I don't know.
Like, where are you from? Like, country-wise? Like,
Albania.
okay.
That's where I originate from. I came over when I was about 6 months old, and stayed in Birmingham. Didn't move away.
So I heard you attended Coventry University in the past. So what course did you do?
I did marketing. Marketing.
Oh, so how did you go from doing marketing to becoming a junior PPC executive at Lounge Underwear? Like, what was that journey like?
So I think originally at that point in time when I first ever did apply for marketing, I didn't know what PPC was at that point originally.
Yeah.
So I think throughout, obviously you have different modules, you have different, there's just so many options in marketing. It's so wide, it's so big that you just have to learn what you like and what you don't like. But I think the big jump for me was actually the experience. So once I finished marketing, I knew what I enjoyed and I knew what I didn't so much. And then I got my previous role, which allowed me to experience different types of marketing. So that was like websites, a little bit of SEO, a bit of paid media, and then PPC. And then once I understood what PPC was, I think that was the most where it ticked for me, and I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. And after that, when I saw the job role, obviously lounge is somewhere that I've always wanted to work. So when the opportunity came up, I was not going to miss it. And I knew I wasn't hugely experienced at that point, which is why I applied for the junior role, and which I'm so grateful for. And here I am today. I think it's a lot of understanding what you enjoy and what you don't, and experience is a big thing. I think when you go and experience different roles, that's when you'll begin to figure out what you enjoy yourself.
What you enjoy and don't enjoy. Yeah, I get it. So, like, what does your job role entail? Like, what kind of things you have to do? What kind of tasks you have to carry out?
So for me, when I first started, I started off with, so different brands are obviously different, so this may vary for different people, but for me, I started off with a few territories. So for example, lounge has different, like it's in the UK, the US, Australia, etc. So I started off with that and understanding each territory and how they work. But PPC in general is getting traffic to the website. So what I had to do on a daily basis is not only understand the research of how customers search, and I think that was the main bit at the beginning. It's more about understanding your consumer and understanding how they search. So for us, we use 3 different platforms: shopping, Google, and YouTube. And after I understood that, then I got to take on more territories. And with those, what I do is we create ads, whether it's on Google, whether it's on YouTube, and whether it's on shopping. And once we do that, we then have to optimize these ads. So once they're out there, there's a lot of optimizing that goes into it. So for example, some ads may work better than others, and you get to understand that actually customers are more likely to search a different type of way in Australia than they are in the UK. So you then have to optimize on that, as well as obviously weather differences, like in Australia and the UK. And I think a lot of it is research, and a lot of it is optimizations and keeping the CPCs low.
Okay. So what would you say there are any like secrets to getting your content to your intended audience, or any little tricks you can use?
I think it's being very proactive and understanding the customers. At any point in time, things can change. And I think it's very much keeping on top of it, being very proactive. It may be a little bit harder on PPC than, for example, like paid social. But for us, it's keeping on top of it. And for example, YouTube, if things like may not get approved on there, or especially for an underwear company, things can happen, and it can get disapproved. So then you've just got to be proactive and just try and get as much as you can out there. I think that's the main thing, really. I think it's just keeping on top of what you're doing, and ensuring your ads are going to the right customers and your customers, and they're presented in a way where your customers are going to want to click on it.
Yeah. All of that sounds very interesting. I feel like you have a real passion for it. So like, what really like motivated you to want to work in advertising?
Truthfully, I think from a young age, I didn't actually know what I wanted to do. So before applying for uni, I was one of those people that did not know what they were doing or what they wanted to do. I knew I enjoyed, when I did my A-levels, I knew I enjoyed media, and I did business as well, but I didn't know where that would take me. So then once I figured out once I chose what degree I was going to do, which obviously was marketing, I think the different modules like advertising, like market research, gave me an insight of what it could be. But the bigger insight was actually the experience. I think experience and trial and error, figuring out what you like, what you don't like, because you could be taught about something and you could really enjoy learning about it, but when you're doing it, it can be very different as well. And I think marketing for me and PPC was something that I realized very quickly on that I really enjoyed being able to create ads, put them out there to the customers and see the journey and see how they go from it to click on it to purchase to how they react to it, or if any different tests that we do, if they work out really well. It was more seeing the journey and just being involved as much as I am, and understanding different territories as well, because we have some that also are non-English territories, which is a bit more difficult, but you just grow and you learn more. And marketing is such a fast-paced environment, and it's such a good environment to be in. It's such a fun environment to be in, and I think that's mainly what it was for me.
Yeah, I understand. So for the sake of the podcast, can you explain to me and the people listening exactly what PPC is and how it works?
So PPC ideally stands for pay-per-click, but what it can involve, what it is getting traffic to the site. So getting customers to your website, ideally that's all it is. But there's so much that goes into it. Like I said, we have search, for example, on Google Ads. So we create ads that go onto Google, which you'll see them on, I'm sure you see them, the top 3 or the bottom 2 on a site when you do search for anything. And it's getting customers to click on those to get to your site. But there's 2 different ways you can do this. So if you don't know the brand, so you'll see them on, say you were searching for lounge, you know that brand, the ad will be there. But if you weren't searching for them, we are trying to get it to customers who don't know maybe who we are, or customers that are searching for just something general, but they don't know exactly who to go for. So our ads are there to try and entice them to click on the site. And then from there, they carry on their customer journey. But then on shopping is obviously the shopping ads that you see when you search. So if you notice when you do search on Google now, you've got all the shopping ads and you've got products that come up at the top. And those are what we do as well, which can relate to what you search. So for example,
visually, how would you entice people to click on these ads? What's the fishing hook that you'll use to get them to go from whatever they're doing to come to your website or to view your product?
Maybe I think for us it's our tone of voice and lounge as a whole, and being that luxury brand that we are. I think that's what we use and what we use in our copy. And as well as in the shopping ads, obviously the photos of our products are very enticing as well. But the difference between those 2 are with the shopping ads, you can see the price, you can see the color, you can see the set. And they, at that point, they already know most of the information on the shopping ad. So when they click onto it, they're not getting a surprise or anything. So it's more of with the shopping ads, they already know what they're getting before they've clicked on it. Whereas with the other ones, the normal ads, it's just enticing them with the copy really, and trying to get that luxury quality brand across to them. And hoping obviously once they land on the page, then they can see how good the brand is. But we do also, like I said, the YouTube ads that we have. So the ads that you see when you're on YouTube and you've got the 5-second ones or the longer 15-second ones that you skip, that is also something that we do, which is I enjoy that a lot because I think it's a good platform to be on. And 100%. It's also very interesting to see what customers are watching, not what customers are watching, but what YouTube channels, for example, get our ads most clicked on.
With the most engagement.
Yeah, and the most
Yeah.
engagement. So it's very interesting. So it's very different to what you would normally think. But it's a really interesting sector, and I think you find out more about your consumers, and then you can obviously put it out to the right people, or very, yeah.
So, what are some of the biggest challenges you faced when it comes to your job role or just working in advertising in general?
For us, I would say most likely probably technology, and like the Google changes, technology changes so rapidly, you
Yeah.
have to adapt to it. There's always something new. And with Google, especially, something comes up all the time, and you may not even know that it's up until you are in the account and you realize this is different, or you'll type something into Google and something looks different, and you have to adapt quickly to how that looks, because
You'll get
with
left behind.
Google we don't get that, oh, this is going to change like in the next few months. It changes, you've got to adapt, you have to go, technology obviously changes, and you have to keep up with it. And maybe not so much a huge challenge, but it's a challenge that you have to overcome constantly,
Yeah,
which
definitely.
I think probably with most advertising is the same, to be honest.
So, what are some common mistakes or errors you'd say people make when it comes to advertising, and how do you avoid them?
I think saying advertising as a whole, there's probably a
Or
lot, but in
PPC
PPC,
in yeah.
um, I think it's more just checking out the ads that you're putting out. There's instances where you'll search and you'll see, oh, that ad's got a spelling mistake, or that ad is still on, say, Valentine's, but it's now past Valentine's. And I think you see a lot of these ads that are actually way beyond that. And are just little mistakes that you don't necessarily see yourself maybe, but
Yeah.
to overcome it, we have a really good system in place where we QA everything. So whatever I do goes to the next person, goes to the next person, and then it gets put out there. And I think that's a really good way of doing it, because by then, any
It's like
mistakes
it's
you
more than
just,
one opinion, so like it's constantly being
yeah,
checked. So yeah, I understand.
yeah. And I think that's such a good, it works really well for us. It may be a different for someone else, but for us, I find it that it's
It's
done
effective.
really well.
Yeah. So if you could change anything about your job, would you change anything? And if so, what would it be?
Honestly, I don't think I would change anything.
Yeah, perfect
I
job,
think
dream job.
it actually is my dream job. I think if I knew back then when I was at uni that I'd be working here, I probably wouldn't believe it. I won't believe I'd be in the role I am and what I'm doing. And I think I'm very grateful for it. So I don't think there's anything I would change. I think it's a good environment to learn in,
Yeah.
to quickly adapt. Your brain is constantly ticking. There's always something new. For example, say Christmas is finished, there's Valentine's Day, there's Boxing, there's so much things, and different brands work differently. So there's always something different that one brand is maybe huge busy period, but for us it's not. And I think it's just a really good environment to keep adapting and keep moving, and your brain's constantly going. So I
Yes, that
don't think
keeps you on
so,
your
no.
toes.
Yes,
Yeah.
constantly.
So I relate to what you said earlier about being a uni student who's not sure what they're doing.
Yeah.
So, what advice would you give to students who want to go from being confused or being quite lost to going into a job role such as yours?
Yeah,
Like,
I think
what steps
for
should
me,
they take to like make themselves more prepared?
yeah, I think for me, what worked well was just when I went into the marketing degree, I didn't know what point or where I would be at or what job role I'd want, but being able to properly understand each module and see what actually goes in there, and have that open mind that actually you can get where you want to get
Yeah.
to. It's not just, it's such a far distance. I would never be able to be in advertising or marketing. But also once you do finish uni, I think that's where you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
where do I go from here? And for me, I think being able to experience the different roles was a big reason why I found out what I wanted to do, because even past uni, I still didn't know exactly where I wanted to be and exactly what I wanted, what job role specific I wanted to do
So,
without experiencing
yeah.
it.
So like, when would you say it became more clear for you? Like, when did you really like realize, okay, yeah, this is what I want to be doing?
Probably in the last, before I started Lounge, the job role before, I was able, like I said, I was able to be able to work in different sectors.
Yeah.
Once I'd done those different sectors, that's when it kicked in for me, because that's when I was able to realize, you know what, this is the job role I want to be in. This is what I am more interested in. This is what I want to know more about. And I think as a uni student, get as much, I know it's said all the time, we get as much experience, whether just not even experience for, say, a CV, but for yourself. So, you know, this is because the more you enjoy something, the more it comes across when you do apply for the job that you want to do.
Yeah.
And the more you have more experience, you are more passionate about what you do, and it will come across 100%. So I think getting that experience is so vital, so important, and you're in a stage of your life where you feel like you need to be up there, and you feel like you probably need to be steady. You're done, you finish uni, you need to get that job role, and that's it. But I think that's the stage where you should be experimenting with what you actually like, and if you don't, you'll probably limit yourself to what you can do, and that is my biggest thing that I'd say.
So where do you see yourself in like 5 years then?
I would love to be a PPC manager at one point, but I would also love to gain a bit more experience in different sectors as well. But definitely a PPC manager at Lounge would be my dream. I think that's my goal at the minute, like the biggest goal. But obviously I have little goals to get to that beforehand. But career-wise, yeah, that's what it would be. But I think, again, you wouldn't know that until you experience and get an understanding of different roles. And I think if you had asked me that a few years ago, I wouldn't have a clue.
You said something completely different,
Yeah, so definitely go ahead and do as much as you can, learn as much as you can. LinkedIn, get on it, make sure you see what everyone's doing. I think that's such a good platform to see, because there's a lot of people that on LinkedIn that post everything they do daily in their job roles, and I think you get an understanding of, would you enjoy that, would you not? So I think, yeah.
All right, well, thank you for joining us on today's MCP podcast. Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. And yeah, that'll be all.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me. I hope your journey goes as well, and you had some type of aspect into it.
Thank you.
Thank you.